Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Hey y'all, hey, welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
Hello, I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura, and we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even nostalgic superhero buddy comedies. We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
Deadpool and Wolverine. The third Deadpool film, and first as a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Ooh.
Heyo. That's right. And before we get into our review, please make sure you're giving Sisters Who Watch 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. 5 stars.
Yes.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at Sisters Who Watch. And you can support us many ways. You can buy our merch if you go to our website, go to our shop tab. You can also support us via listener support on Spotify and donate to us. And we have a Zelle, so you can Zelle us too, sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. Thank you, guys.
Yes, we appreciate y'all so much. And so now let's dive into the background of Deadpool and Wolverine. Here is the logline. Deadpool is offered a place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by the Time Variance Authority, but instead recruits a variant of Wolverine to save his universe from extinction. Wow. So, as I mentioned, this is the third installment of the Deadpool franchise after the original Deadpool in 2016 and Deadpool 2 in 2018. Laura, did you see those movies?
Yes, I did see those movies. I haven't seen them since, so I don't really remember them. But you just remember Deadpool as, the funny one, right?
Yeah, funny, kind of edgy, raunchy.
Yes.
I looked them up and I was like, I definitely saw them. And then watching the movie and seeing some of his friends and his roommate blind out, I was like, I guess I remember these people. But it had been a minute. Like, I forgot that was his girlfriend. Like, it took me a while. And I was like, well, I probably should have seen the other ones before this, in hindsight, because it had been a long time. This movie was the first Fox Marvel superhero film since Disney bought 20th Century Fox in 2019. So it marks the end of the 20th Century Fox Marvel era and the beginning of a new one, bringing these characters into the MCU. So we grew up, remember the X-Men movies with Wolverine and Storm and Professor X, as well as like Daredevil and Elektra and Fantastic Four. All of those were the Marvel movies made by 20th Century Fox, so they had nothing to do with the MCU, kind of similar to how like the Sony Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire had no relation to like what Disney was doing with Marvel. But now they're all under one roof and Disney has the rights to all of them. So bye-bye Fox and hello Disney now having Deadpool and Wolverine. And I'm curious to see, what happens now. I actually think it was pretty successful. We're going to dive into the review, but I'm pleasantly surprised. And I think part of that is the fact that they did have two very like iconic Fox Marvel characters in Deadpool, played by Ryan Reynolds, and like Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman. I was like looking back, and Hugh Jackman was in every X-Men movie, and then he had like 3 spin-offs. I was like, he was like the guy.
Right.
I kind of forgot that there were so many like Wolverine movies. So I think it was smart of them to like bring him into this. Apparently Hugh and Ryan are like really good friends in real life.
Oh.
And I feel like you could see that and sense that in their like chemistry. And I think that was also smart. So they did a lot of good things to try and like make this movie come together and enter this new era.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for the background. It's helpful, Shelby, in our inside industry knowledge.
Yes.
And if you're watching us, Shelby and I are dressed as Deadpool and Wolverine. If you've been watching social media and kind of all the press, a lot of people are dressing in red and yellow, right? Mm-hmm. Red for Deadpool, yellow for Wolverine. So today Shelby is representing Wolverine. I'm representing Deadpool in my red.
Yes, I have a nice bright yellow on and still have my blonde braids. So if you blink twice, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's a black Wolverine.
That's it. It's Gigi Hadid, right? Because Gigi
At the
Hadid was wearing
premiere.
yellow, yes. And it's Blake Lively on the red carpet.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh. The only other thing I'll say about this movie is that it also had a strong auspice in the director, Shawn Levy. And Laura, he's directed a lot of our favorite movies over the years. Big Fat Liar? What an iconic film from back in the day.
That's a great movie.
Isn't that hilarious? And he did the Night at the Museum franchise, Date Night, Free Guy, and the Adam Project, which was at Netflix. And he's a producer for Stranger Things. So they had a lot of like really good talent attached to the film, which is why I think it ended up being like executed well.
What were some of your expectations, Shelby, coming in to Deadpool and Wolverine?
Well, if you guys listened to our episode on the Marvels in the state of the MCU from last year, you'd know that we are a bit concerned about the MCU after recent flops. So go check out that episode if you haven't. So coming in, I was a little bit concerned, given one, right, as I said, the first Fox Marvel movie since Disney bought Fox, as well as just the track record. The Marvels didn't do great. Ant-Man didn't do great. All the Disney Plus shows aren't hitting like they used to.
Madam Web.
That was Sony Marvel, but still a Marvel movie that didn't do well. All of those things have been trending downwards for Marvel and superhero movies. So if it was going to follow the pattern, this movie wouldn't do as well. But it did the opposite. It had a huge opening weekend, broke box office records, had so much buzz, reviews, social media. First thing, it had a 211 million opening weekend domestic box office tally, which is the biggest opening weekend for an R-rated movie ever.
What?
And it's the 8th biggest in box office history.
Wow.
And it's crossing 550 million globally at the box office after only 5 days.
Wow.
5 days. And on top of that, it's having positive press, reviews, and social media. Like you said, everyone was talking about Blake Lively and Gigi Hadid at the premiere. I saw the photo of Blake with NSYNC. And now after seeing the movie, I understand why. And apparently Taylor Swift posted about the movie in her IG story, congratulating Ryan Reynolds and Hugh,
of course,
she's besties with Blake. And then you also had some of the actors and like surprise cameos post about it. So spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the movie, stop listening. The one and only Channing Tatum was in it. And he posted about how sentimental it was for him to play Gambit after all of these years. And like the fact that he really tried to get that movie made at Fox. It never happened. And then Chris Evans posted about how it meant so much to him to play Johnny Storm. And I was like, whoa. It's like everyone just got very emotional and nostalgic. So this movie, between like the box office and the buzz and the press, it's having a moment. Everyone is feeling good. It's a feel-good story.
Yeah, it's wild. And at work and just with friends, I'm like, oh, what'd you do this weekend? The amount of people who said saw Deadpool and Wolverine was wild. Wild. I'm like, everyone is seeing this movie.
Crazy.
Yes. So everyone is seeing it. And it was one of my most highly anticipated films of 2024 because, right, Wolverine is one of the biggest, superhero characters of the past 20 years, right? He was in every single X-Men movie. He had 3 solo movies. He was a character of our childhood, right? So to see Hugh Jackman come back and play this character is a big deal after almost 10 years. And plus he died in Logan. So we're like, how is Wolverine back? Deadpool has always been a really highly anticipated, Marvel movie that everyone seems to love. I've always thought they're fun. I haven't been the biggest Deadpool fan, but I was just excited that there was going to be this crossover between Deadpool and Wolverine. When we saw Ryan Reynolds first play Wade Wilson, which X-Men movie was that? Like the Origins? X-Men Origins Wolverine?
It was an X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Right. Yeah. That was so long ago. And now that character has become, has its own franchise. It's wild to see how far both characters have come.
I think it's very nostalgic for millennials or even Gen X, people that grew up with those movies. Like the first X-Men came out in 2000. 24 years ago.
Wow.
And Hugh is still playing Wolverine. That's crazy. So think about all the people throughout the generation that it's touched, you know.
I looked up Hugh Jackman because he's still ripped. I'm like,
he looks great.
He looks so good.
For like being 55. Yeah.
He's 55. I could not believe my eyes. How does he look that good?
Crazy.
Well, did you see he's getting a divorce from his wife?
I did see. I know. I've been on a rabbit hole. I've been looking everyone up.
And they'd been together a long time, so
I will say the fact that she's like 13 years older than him was always curious.
So
on that note, should we dive into our favorite moments?
Yes. I mean, this opening scene was unreal. I could not. I was laughing so much. If you listen to mine and Shelby's review of The Bear and some other shows, we were saying that some of these comedies are lacking the comedy, but this opening scene was very funny. This
movie was funny. I feel like I was laughing a lot.
Yes. Deadpool is beating up and killing all these TVA agents to the song Bye Bye Bye, and he's doing all the Bye 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 choreo. That was so wild. And
he's
could
using
not
like the bones of Logan to kill them. Crazy. What? I was like singing in the theater. I was like, bye, 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 bye. Like,
what was the music budget? What was the music budget?
Big music budget.
Like the amount of songs they had.
Wow.
They had T.I., Bring 'Em Out, Bring 'Em Out. They had so many huge songs. What?
Very impressive.
What is the music budget? Yeah, I was impressed.
So they start out with a bang, and it was edgy, funny, raunchy, a little icky. The fact that he was using the bones of a dead person to kill. But that's what it's known for. Like
That's Deadpool.
That's Deadpool. They hit the nail on the head right away. And I was like, okay, this is the ride where he signed up for. Let's get it.
No, immediately you're like, oh, we're here. We're starting.
Okay. This is happening.
What I also do like about this movie was how self-aware it was and how it was constantly breaking the fourth wall.
Yes.
And how in the beginning he was like, yeah, there's a tinge of necrophilia using the bones to kill all the TVA agents, but oh well, you know, it acknowledged.
Yes, it's very self-aware.
And I loved how over and over Deadpool was like, oh, Hugh, they're gonna get you in this role till you're 90. And they said multiple times, and they said Hugh in the movie. I was like, what is going on?
Hilarious.
It's like the movie was trolling itself the
entire time. Speaking of, you know, trolling itself, it shows like Wade Wilson Deadpool as well, begging to be an Avenger to Happy Hogan. So that was funny to see like Jon Favreau write our first like cameo. And he says like, oh, where's your boss? Oh, he doesn't do this thing anymore. He's too big to do cameos. Speaking of Robert Downey Jr. And I was like, I can't. Like another like breaking the fourth wall moment. But it's funny because I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. is not going to do like a 5-minute cameo in this movie. No. So it's hilarious.
And did you hear that Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU?
I did. Yes, he is replacing Jonathan Majors as the next big villain.
Yikes!
No more King the Conqueror. No, it's Dr. Doom, played by our DJ.
I mean, it's smart. Get people excited. And make people forget all about Jonathan Majors. No one's going to remember him now.
Exactly. And the only reason I remembered that Jonathan Majors was supposed to be the main villain in the MC moving forward is because he had a quote, like, the other day. Like, oh, I was broken to see that, you know, they chose RDJ as the villain.
I should have thought about that before.
Yeah. Tough. Back to what we were saying. Yes, funny that they're bringing RDJ back. I do think, though, it's like an easy decision, right? You're like, oh, everyone likes him. They know him. We're just going to bring him back and that'll pull people in. Whereas ideally, you know, I'd hope they could have picked like a different actor or someone like up and coming and given the opportunity to someone else, not just go back to someone they know. It's like picking Chris Evans for like a new Avenger, but not Captain America because they know people like him.
They could have easily picked someone else who would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chris Evans, His cameo was so good.
Love
So
him.
good. So Deadpool and Wolverine get banished to the depths of the TVA,
The
to this
void
wasteland, the void.
that looks like Mad Max.
Yes, it was definitely giving Mad Max. I like those references. And it's all these, banished characters.
Yeah,
And
and
that was really
variants.
fun and variants.
Mm-hmm.
We see Chris Evans and we're like, oh,
Captain America!
Captain America! And Deadpool's like, oh my gosh, it's you, it's the original
Cap!
Avenger. It's Cap.
It's an Avenger! Because
Say
this
your
whole time he was
catchphrase.
excited about, like, an Avenger.
And he's like, say your catchphrase. And then and then you hear flame on, and then Chris Evans flies into the air on fire, and I was like, Fantastic Four. I immediately
That's the Human Torch, not Captain America. That's Johnny
the
Storm.
Human Torch. I can't. When he said flame on, I wanted to cry. I was like, not flame on. That was so funny.
Yeah, the OG Fantastic Four with like him and Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis. I remember that.
Oh yeah, we watched
such
those.
a throwback.
And then seeing Wade Wilson be like, oh, and then Wolverine's like, we don't know that guy. We don't know him.
Especially because I feel like Fantastic Four, people look at that kind of negative.
Yeah, it's a bomb.
Like it's like a bomb. And then remember they tried to reboot it with like Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan, and that bombed even more.
And when I saw that in the credits, I was like, not that. I was like, why are they showing that cursed Michael B. Jordan reboot? I was like, I can't believe Michael B. Jordan did that.
Crazy. And now they're trying to reboot it again with like Pedro Pascal and a whole different bunch of actors.
Why?
Maybe since it's with Disney now, it'll do better, but I'm like...
It's a part of the Avenger universe.
Yeah. But Fox did not do Fantastic Four justice, that's for sure.
No, I jump scare when I saw Michael B. Jordan in Fantastic Four. I was like, oh my gosh. What other favorite ones did you have?
Even though I don't love all like the multiverse stuff, I thought it was funny to see all of the Deadpool variants, and in particular, Nice Pool and Dog Pool.
Yeah. Nice Pool was so funny.
Nice Pool was hilarious. Played by like the classic looking Ryan Reynolds, who looks like a rom-com star. And he even mentions like the proposal.
The proposal! That was such a good moment.
So good. And then Dog Pool, this like cute, weird looking dog that is dressed in a Deadpool costume that loves the OG Deadpool. Like, I just thought that was hilarious. And Nice Pool drives a Honda Odyssey, which Deadpool said was like his least favorite car. Like, it was just like funny callbacks. Yes. And I thought they were like a good foil for each other.
Did you see the Lady Pool and the Baby Pool nuggets?
Yes. So Lady Pool is Blake, right?
Yes. So I had heard conspiracies online. Oh, we think it's Blake Lively. But then the friend I saw it with was like, oh, she was in the credits. It said Lady Pool, Blake Lively in the credits. And the same thing with Baby Pool. That was one of their kids. And it said the name in the credits. Isn't that wild?
Insane. I don't really watch things over again, and I probably won't anytime soon, but I'm sure you could watch this over again and notice so many more things.
So many
Easter eggs. Because it was so
eggs.
Quick, so witty, had so many little Easter eggs. Like, it was easy to miss. Another moment I liked was Logan / Wolverine, right? The variant Logan that Deadpool got from one of the many multiverses. Timelines. When he started to remember who he really was, because Mr. Paradox was like, oh, he's the worst Wolverine. He's a drunk. He's sad. He lit down his universe. But after meeting some of the fellow Resistance member superheroes, remembering who he really is, and like, I am a part of X-Men. It was good to kind of see him come back to the Wolverine we all know and love from all those movies we've seen over the years. So I liked that moment, seeing the character arc and growth, and then how that led to the big fight scene where Resistance member superheroes, full of more cameos, Channing Tatum playing Gambit, crazy, especially playing a character that actually the movie never was made. I thought that was hilarious.
Wild.
A character he really wanted to play and never was able to. You also had Jennifer Garner playing Elektra, and then Wesley Snipes playing Blade, and then Daphne Keane playing X-23, basically the girl from Logan.
Right.
I thought that was really cool, having them kind of team up as like their own version of the Avengers. So Deadpool, you don't need the Avengers. You have your own little team. You can work in a team. You have a group.
Yes. I did love those cameos. As we've talked about, in The Bear and some other things, sometimes there's too many cameos, but I thought all of the cameos here were very thoughtful.
They were great.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think they were really well executed. I was like, when was Channing Tatum in a Marvel movie? I didn't pick up, this.
That was
right?
the joke. Yeah.
Yes. I don't think
happened.
the average watcher would be like, oh, that's Gambit, a movie that was never made, right? I was thinking, when? So that was a great, Easter egg. Channing Tatum playing this role that never got off the ground. And what in the Chet Hanks? What was that accent, Shelby? Was that Jamaican? Was that French?
Supposed to be Creole. I know. Hilarious. So this is going back to my fandom of Channing Tatum from back in the day.
Yes.
I was such a Channing Tatum fan in like middle school, high school. So I remember when it was rumored that he was going to be like a superhero. I remember this.
Yeah.
So that's why when I saw it, it like clicked for me. And like some of the jokes they were saying, like, oh yeah, it never happened, but he wanted to. And he's from the South. He really wanted to play like a kind of like Southern Creole character related to his heritage, but the accent is crazy. I could not understand him. It went too far.
Right?
I thought it was a joke. Maybe it was a joke. But the way he was talking, I was like, there's no way he actually would have talked like that in a movie.
No. Was that
all
real?
About Gambit. I have to think it was a joke.
Because even Ryan Reynolds, I loved when he was like, who is his dialect coach? Because I was like, I can't be the only one thinking that this is insane. How is he talking like this? He literally sounded like Chet Hanks, right? Like, you know how Chet Hanks did his little fake Jamaican accent? I thought it was Jamaican because it was a little French, it was a little Jamaican.
No, it's Creole.
What?
Like, yeah, he's like from New Orleans.
He needs to be stopped. That accent was so bad. That accent was so it was distracting how bad it was. I was like, what is Channing Tatum doing?
That's why I thought it was a joke, but maybe it's not. I don't know.
I really hope it was intentionally bad, because if it wasn't,
I think it was intentionally bad.
Sorry to this man. Yeah, so that
fingers crossed.
Channing Tatum, that was very, very funny.
A few other moments I really liked. All of the cameos, superheroes coming together, having their moment, the moments they never had because their movies were never made or their movies were stopped being made because the Fox Marvel movies weren't great. And they finally were able to like fight crime and save the day, which led to Deadpool and Wolverine being able to defeat Cassandra Nova, a very weird looking Emma Corrin as a villain, and then head back to Earth and try and stop Mr. Paradox and the Time Ripper to save their planet and all their friends. I really liked how Wolverine and Deadpool had to work together to destroy the Time Ripper. They both were like, I should sacrifice myself. No, I should sacrifice myself. And it was funny. They were like trying to say who should do it. And then in the end, they like have to work together. And it really showed how their like friendship and teamwork evolved. They went from fighting all the time to now sacrificing themselves together. And because they did do it together, they survived. And after saving everyone, they go together to Deadpool's apartment. It almost felt like a rom-com. Wolverine was walking away like, okay, bye Deadpool, thanks buddy.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool's like, wait, don't go.
Wolverine,
come back.
And he's like stood there and he's like, yes, I thought that was very cute. It was giving rom-com.
Was cute. And then they go to Deadpool's apartment together and it ends with them like all with Deadpool's friends. I thought that was a cute way for the movie to end. And then the end credit sequence, classic Marvel, you know there's going to be something, but it was a pleasant surprise to first see all of the Fox Marvel flashbacks from the X-Men movies. A young Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, like all the actors from those movies. it was really cool to see that. And it kind of had me feeling sentimental. I was like, should I watch the original X-Men?
I know. I felt the same way.
We watched all of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
I
all
remember
of them.
back when cable would just be on and you'd channel surf. Those movies were always playing on like USA or FX or
TNT.
The TNT.
All of them.
They were always on. I swear, X-Men was always on the TV. And we would watch those. I mean, we watched those movies a lot. And then, of course, when they did like the prequels with like James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, like we saw those movies too.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of forgot how X-Men in particular was like a core part of our childhood growing up.
Huge.
So it did give me a little feels. And I remember seeing afterwards all these articles about people talking about like the shocking nostalgia and how the movie made them feel emotional. So I was a little surprised by that. I did feel something at the end, for sure.
Yeah, I think the movie had a great impact.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was really funny in the beginning, and then it got, a bit more serious towards the end.
Yes.
I did notice that. I found myself not laughing as much, but I was shocked at, the nostalgia factor and how it really paid an homage to all these past Marvel characters that were kind of forgotten and from our childhood.
Yeah.
I thought the impact was really great. And then seeing all the flashbacks at the end and Michael B. Jordan and in the failed Fantastic Four and a young Hugh Jackman. Seeing Hugh Jackman from the first one, I was like, he looks so young. Wow. So
it literally was the movie that made him a star. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I was impressed. I was not expecting Deadpool and Wolverine
to hit the emotional beats like that.
Not at all. Not
on my bingo card.
Definitely not.
So now for least favorite moments, I'm kind of over the multiverse. And they joke about that in the movie. Like how the multiverse and MCU it's gone a bit off the rails, not doing too well. So for me, when I realized the TVA was involved right away, I was like, no, not Loki 2.0.
I immediately thought of you.
Not the TVA, not the different timelines. I was like, this can't be the core of the plot.
I thought the same thing. If you listen to our worst content of 2023, we talked about Loki season 2 because everyone was talking about how it's the best TV we've ever seen, the best finale we've ever seen. And we watched it together and we're like, what? Did not make much sense. It's very confusing. No. It's all about the TVA is from Loki, right?
Literally.
Like it's from the Loki series.
Yeah.
So when I was like, oh, this movie's about the TVA, I was like,
triggered.
Oh no.
Very concerned.
Oh no.
But I will say the way they did it was clearer and made more sense to me. It just flowed better. So I don't know what they did. Genuinely. Maybe it was better written. Maybe the way that they just used it to get a Wolverine variant quickly and you weren't in all those worlds that much and you didn't need to really know the background of Mr. Paradox. Like the way that they orchestrated it, it made a bit more sense and it was less confusing. Whereas Loki, I could barely follow what was going on.
Very confusing. Whereas this movie, there were some points where I was like, wait, what's going on? But for the most part, I was able to follow everything. I didn't find it super confusing. Something I didn't love, I mean, there were a lot of fight scenes to be expected, right? It's a Marvel movie. And plus, it's an R-rated movie. So, but it felt, I mean, I haven't seen the other Deadpools since they came out, but didn't this movie feel especially gory and bloody? There was a lot of blood.
That's my big critique.
Right.
And I guess it's an R-rated movie. That's what you should expect. But for me, blood, gore, violence, not really my thing. So there were a few times I was like covering my face. So basically every time Deadpool and Wolverine fought each other and were just like putting knives in each other and shooting each other and just blood spattering all over the minivan, I was like, ugh, stop.
When they were fighting all the Deadpool variants and there was just, when they were going through the bus and the bus was just filled with blood, I was like, what? Rough. I was like, was that necessary? I didn't love that. But also I didn't like when Nice Pool died.
Laura, that was awful.
That was so bad.
Deadpool was so mean. He was like, "You're not gonna die. You'll be fine." And then he was like, "Wait, you don't regenerate?"
The gaslighting. It's giving what he did with Chris Evans with the Human
Literally,
Torch.
that was the least favorite moment for me. Because one, we love Chris Evans. Captain America will always be a favorite.
Love him.
And he basically was egging on Cassandra Nova, the weird-looking villain, and telling her all the awful things Johnny Storm was saying. She got so annoyed, she killed Johnny Storm.
What was the point of that, Deadpool, right?
Nothing.
Why did
he was
do
just
that?
being a dick, annoying. It's awful. Because he talks too much. Sometimes it's funny, but then other times I'm like, dude, stop.
Like why? You just got him killed for no reason. Because you want to be annoying.
Johnny Storm killed for no reason. You're killing Nice Pool, the nicest Deadpool variant. Because you need to save yourself. For no reason.
Yeah.
Brutal. But yeah, I guess we had mostly favorite moments.
Yeah. I mean, there weren't many lowlights, honestly.
No.
Are you ready for our category, Shelby?
Let's do it.
Okay, who or what did you love to hate from Deadpool and Wolverine?
Well, I already mentioned it briefly. The multiverse, the TVA, whatever you want to call it, timelines. I like how it functioned to bring back Wolverine. Logan died, so we're like, how is this going to work? So I understand why they needed it to bring back Wolverine. But it was still annoying. And I feel like you kind of needed to see Loki, right? Like, if you hadn't, would you have understood what the TVA was and, like, the background? I guess you could have gone in blind, but it kind of felt like you needed to have seen that show to understand this movie.
Right, because they talked about the different branches and how they're trying to clean the timelines and the branches and the true timeline. And all of that was explained in the Loki series.
All of it, yes.
And the characters, Mr. Paradox and the Black Lady.
Yeah.
She was on Loki too, and she was, one of the main TVA characters on that show. I guess you're probably like, oh, they're just the timeline people,
Yeah, like you don't really get the background. We talked about that in our Marvels episode. Like, it's annoying that the MCU, they've made it seem like you have to see every single movie to get it. Like, movies should be able to stand on its own. I think this movie is close to standing on its own, but because of the multiverse TVA connection, I kind of feel like you have to see Loki.
Right. And plus all the characters and cameos they brought back.
Oh my gosh,
right?
Yeah, it's so true. It's like you had to have seen all the Fox Marvel movies to get that. Like, you wouldn't have gotten the Captain America, Johnny Storm stuff if you hadn't seen Fantastic Four. Like, you wouldn't have gotten excited to see Jennifer Garner and Wesley Snipes if you hadn't seen Elektra and Blade.
And I had a friend who saw it this past weekend, and she's like, I've never seen any Marvel movie, and I had no idea what was going on.
Yikes.
Which makes sense, right? It's so self-referential. If you've never seen the Deadpool or Wolverine movies, you're probably not going to like it.
You probably shouldn't see it.
No. What did you hate from this movie?
And we already mentioned the blood, gore, violence. That's something I hate to hate. Again, I understand it's R-rated, but that didn't make the movie better. I don't think it added anything. It just probably isolated some fans and viewers. Like me, I was like covering my face.
I agree with you, Shelby. What is up with these British villains? Why were all the villains British? I clocked that during the movie. I was like, wait, both of the villains are British. Isn't that so bizarre?
Weird.
I know there's that, stereotype in American movies. It's always a German or a British person.
Or Russian.
Or Russian. I was thinking, oh, both of the villains are British?
I was like, are they making fun of that trope? Like, is that another, like, kind of very self-aware thing?
Purposeful, yeah.
Like, purposeful? Like, I wasn't sure. But it was strange that they had Emma Corrin playing Cassandra Nova and then Matthew McFadden playing Mr. Paradox.
Strange. What do you have for Love to Love?
Well, all of the surprise cameos. Like you said, they were purposeful, they made sense, they were funny. And even the tiny ones, like Henry Cavill as the Cavalrine.
Yes.
And that quick montage of finding the Wolverine variants. That was hilarious. And then I looked it up. They did that because apparently it was rumored that Marvel was thinking of like rebooting Wolverine and wanted like Henry Cavill to play him. And so, like, that's why they did it. So, again, very self-aware, poking fun at the trends, right? Two other characters, Pyro, played by Aaron Stanford, and Tyler Mane, played Sabretooth. I didn't recognize them, but apparently they reprised their original roles from the original X-Men. I missed that during the film, like, because they were more minor in X-Men. I didn't recognize them. But then when I looked it up afterward, I was like, oh, the original characters reprised the roles. Sabretooth was the one that Wolverine killed. It was like, your brother. And then he, like, beheaded him in that little fight.
Okay.
And then Pyro was the one that turned on Cassandra Nova.
Yes.
Was, like, working with Mr. Paradox.
If only James Marsden came back.
I know. He played
Halle
Scott.
Berry. Yes.
He had the stuff on his eyes.
The glasses.
I don't remember the actual name of his... Cyclops.
Yes.
Yeah, Halle Berry, Storm. Famke Janssen was Jean Grey. The X-Men movies, those were good. I will say the Fox, Marvel, X-Men movies, those I think were the best.
I also did love all the humor and the satire.
Yes.
So self-aware. I was shocked at how self-aware it was when they talked about the proposal and how they called out Hugh for being in the role for 90 years and saying Cavalrine, like calling out Henry Cavill. And the voice coach for Channing Tatum's accent, I liked how the movie didn't take itself too seriously. And I was like, how? They really let Ryan Reynolds do whatever he
Literally,
wanted.
Laura, when he was like, F Fox, I'm going to Disneyland, I laughed out loud.
Right.
When he said, I'm going to be the Marvel Christ or whatever, I was like...
Messiah.
I'm Marvel Messiah. I was like, you're doing too much. He went there. They
really said, do whatever you want, Ryan. And he did just that.
Truly.
Are you ready for our game? Red flag, green flag, 1, 2, 3?
Yes.
Okay, Shelby. Is it a red flag to buy a rival studio so you can control its IP?
Yes. The fact that Disney bought part of the 20th Century Fox assets, basically there's TV studio, their film studio. Fox kept like Fox News and the Fox broadcast channel. So Fox still exists, but the studio does not. Just like the network, where they play football and Masked Singer. And Beach Jam. That's all that Fox is right now. That and Fox News. The actual studio that makes movies like Poor Things and The Bear is all now under Disney. And it's kind of crazy. Like, that used to be a separate studio. And, right, so movies like Deadpool and X-Men, that used to be a separate studio, and now it's all under Disney. I don't think it's really good for business. I also think it's probably was better for actors in the industry when you could make Marvel movies at multiple studios like Fox and Disney and Sony. But now, if you want to make Marvel, you kind of have to do it at Disney. They have that monopoly. I think Disney was already pretty competitive, so I don't know if they needed to buy the 20th Century Fox assets. But hey, right now they have a critical hit like The Bear. They have Oscar-winning movies like Poor Things. Like, obviously, they are getting things from those 20th century assets. It is just, I don't think, the best for the industry at large.
Like, we need competition in, different studios, right? So, I agree.
Okay, Laura, is it a green flag to convince and recruit your friends or former colleagues to film a movie with you, like Ryan Reynolds did with this film?
I think so. Kind of like we were saying about the studios, right? With nepotism and stuff and consolidation. Having Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, be in a huge movie is, good for them. Having Robert Downey Jr. become the new villain, it's kind of more the same. It kind of hurts new talent, right? Why couldn't we have had someone more interesting or different than Robert Downey Jr. be the new villain? But I think it was a green flag for this movie. But I think if we just if famous rich people keep on inviting their famous rich friends, like, to act with them and stuff, we need some change.
I hear what you're saying. I agree. I think in this movie, it's a green flag, particularly because this is kind of like Ryan's movie. He helped write it. He's a producer. He's the star. Like, this is his baby. And I think when he's reaching out to, like, the Channings or Wesley Snipes of the world, right? And like, hey, we'd love you to do a cameo in this. Like, that's a big deal. He was very involved and helped get the most of the movie and got really exciting people attached because of that relationship. But I agree, it can be dangerous because it can lead to less opportunities for new talent.
Overall thoughts, is Deadpool and Wolverine a wait or a watch?
Definitely a watch. I'm pleasantly surprised. Going in, like, it wasn't on my most anticipated list. Like, I was curious, you know? But I enjoyed it. I laughed a lot. I thought the cameos were great. I thought it was very nostalgic for a millennial like myself. It definitely is a bit edgy and gory. So if that's not your thing, maybe it's not for you. I was able to overcome that because of the nostalgia and the comedy.
Totally aligned. Definitely a surprise. I knew I'd probably enjoy it, right? It's a fun Marvel X-Men movie, and we've enjoyed those for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But I was surprised by how well executed it was and how funny and quick and witted, and how the cameos were all really tasteful and and smart. So definitely a watch.
So for our What to Watch segment, there are a lot of things that you can watch related to Deadpool and Wolverine. First off, all of those old Fox Marvel movies. To be honest, I'm not sure where they're streaming. I was trying to look, and it's like, why isn't X-Men anywhere? Why isn't Fantastic Four anywhere? I think they're kind of lost in the abyss, unless you want to buy to rent them on Amazon, which I don't. So if anyone knows where you can watch these, or where they will be, let us know. I'm curious how the Fox Marvel character integration into Disney and the MCU will go. Like, will we see more of Deadpool and Wolverine in the MCU? Should Deadpool become an Avenger? What will the Fantastic Four, Blade, and X-Men reboots be like? Like, there's a lot of questions. And I'm curious, Laura, would you watch, like, another Deadpool and Wolverine movie?
I would. I mean, after this was so successful, definitely. I mean, I'd make Deadpool an Avenger. I mean, the Avengers are kind of falling apart, right? Captain America left. RDJ is no longer Iron Man, right? We need some more Avengers. So I think Deadpool and Wolverine. Make Wolverine an Avenger. That'd be great.
I feel like Wolverine is more on brand for an Avenger than Deadpool. Like, can you imagine Deadpool being an Avenger? He'd need to go through some, like, training or make him less R-rated. He'd have to talk less.
Yes, right, because an Avengers movie is not going to be rated R.
No.
They're not going to do that. Yeah, so imagine the sequence of him going through training. That'd be so fun.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, Captain America coming back to teach Deadpool how to be a better person and live in a PG-13 world.
That sounds like a Disney Plus original series.
The training of Deadpool.
Deadpool Captain Deadpool.
I'm screaming.
Avengers training with Deadpool.
Hire us to be producers, people. We come
producers
up with really
and consultants. You really do. I would watch that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And
Avengers training camp.
That's good.
That'd be great.
And put Wolverine through it too. Yeah, all of the Fox Marvel characters going through it.
Yes.
Wow.
Hire us. Come on. It's great. What else is coming up from Marvel, Shelby?
Well, there are a lot of upcoming Marvel movies and TV shows that have been announced or dated. This has been the only Marvel movie this year, and it will be the only one. The next Marvel movie doesn't come out until next year. Captain America: Brave New World in February. And that's
who's starring in that?
Anthony Mackie. Did you see that trailer when you saw Deadpool and Wolverine?
No, they didn't show that trailer at my theater.
Oh, I saw that trailer. Anthony Mackie, the new Captain America, is getting his moment. I'm curious.
Huh. I mean, we saw Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? We saw that series. It was good, and it sets up Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America. Is Anthony Mackie? He's not Captain America, right?
No.
He's not the star that Chris Evans was.
No,
and if you're gonna choose someone to replace Chris Evans, you need a bombshell, who has entered the
Brutal.
villa.
What a miss.
Anthony Mackie is not a
I
bombshell
know,
in the
it's a
villa.
miss.
He's not. Chris Evans is a bombshell.
He'd be a
Anthony
Casa
Mackie is
boy that
not
wouldn't
that.
be picked.
Yes,
He'd be-
Anthony Mackie would go home after Casa. The Love Island Marvel crossover.
Oh,
Yeah, Anthony
man.
Mackie is not the Captain America bombshell that we need. Like, if it was Michael B.
No.
Jordan, we need a Chris Evans level bombshell.
I agree.
And that's not Anthony Mackie. I'll probably watch it, but I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I do think I want to support, you know, a black
Yes.
superhero.
Yes.
But I agree. I don't think he has the same kind of pull or goodwill that Chris Evans has.
No, not at all.
And of course, if you're into Disney Plus TV shows, there are a whole lot of those too. The only Disney Plus TV show I'm excited for is Ironheart, starring Dominique Thorne, which will finally come out in 2025. I don't know when, but we've been waiting.
Yes, a fellow Cornellian. So we're excited to see that when it comes out.
Yes. There.
Okay, well, if you enjoyed this episode of Sisters Who Watch, please give us 5 stars wherever you listen. Spotify, Apple, 5 stars, please. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can auto-download our episodes on Spotify and Apple. And make sure you give us a follow on all our social media platforms at Sisters Who Watch. Give us a follow, show us some love. And you can support us by buying our merch off our website. Go to our shop tab and buy our merch. And you can subscribe to listener support and donate to us every month on Spotify. And you can Zell us, sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. You can Zell us there.
And we want to hear from y'all. You can email us at sisterswhowatch@gmail.com to ask questions and give us feedback or even suggestions on what to watch next. You can comment on our social media posts, our YouTube posts, as well as on Spotify. They now have a comment feature as well as polls. Please let us know how you feel like we're doing. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay watching.